Welcome to the Town Hall Theater stage. I am Zach Shivers, the box office manager. I'm here today with Melissa Lourie, who is the founder and artistic director of Middlebury Acting Company, who's about to put on a production of Chekhov's The Cherry Orchard. Thanks for joining me, Melissa.
Thanks for having me.
The Cherry Orchard is an older play. It's 120 years old. I think it was written in 1903 in Russian, between the Russian emancipation in the 1860s, which is when the serfs were set free, and before the Russian Revolution in 1917. And so it's here in this very particular economic moment. And what I want to know, for people who are not super familiar with Russian history, how much of that historical context should we know before going into the play?
Well, I don't think it's that important to know the history very well. The play stands on its own. It speaks for itself. It's nice to know that stuff because it does illuminate more what's going on and the declining aristocracy, which this family is. I mean, these are a dying breed of people, and many of them would go on to be executed, exiled, and their lifestyle gone, lost completely. So it's helpful to know that, but it's not essential because the play really is it's a perfect work of art that stands on its own.
So give us a little insight into that. So what is the play about, if it's not about the aristocracy being, shot?
Well, there's this family, and Madame Lyubov Andreevna is the sort of matriarch of this family. She has been in exile in Paris, not exile, but self-imposed exile. Now she's been sort of called back from Paris because the estate is finally, they've been unable to meet their mortgage payments. It's about to be sold at auction, and she has to be there and deal with this. So she comes back and reunites with her family, and then this guy named Lopakin, he has a plan. You just have to lease out your land for summer cottages, which is a theme not unfamiliar to Vermonters and people with land and farms who have sold them and cut them up. But they can't do it. They just cannot face that idea. So they lose everything. So it's a fascinating study in human denial.
Right.
And it's not all loss and death and destruction. It's just a turning of the wheel of time.
For a play like this, a classic play many people may probably have seen the play before, maybe have acted in it themselves. What are some of the directorial choices you're making that are going to be specific to this production?
That's a great question. I like that question. Well, Chekhov traditionally is done hyper-naturalistically with sets that look like real, walls and furniture, attempts to make it look exactly like real life. So I'm not doing that. I'm simplifying and stylizing everything so that there are no walls and there are no attempts to be absolutely literal about the surroundings. In fact, I've decided to set it on a giant blossom. So the set is a huge cherry blossom, essentially.
Wow.
Yeah.
How are you making that happen?
Well, Ellie is making that happen.
Oh, Ellie Frimmel,
Ellie Frimmel,
our gallery manager.
Yeah. She's going to paint the floor up here, and then there's going to be a canvas painted drop cloth that goes over the edge of the stage and out onto the floor for the lower half of the blossom. And because the nursery is set down on the floor, the meadow and the ballroom are up here. But so the set is abstracted and poeticized, I would say. And I'm using the image of the blossom to sort of symbolize the fragility and the transience of this world that they're living in. Everything will just be suggested. That's my favorite kind of theater, that asks you to imagine and to not take it literally. So the other thing that I'm doing is I'm using the character of Charlotta, who is a German governess and a magician. And
a magician?
She's a magician.
Does that mean there's going to be magic?
Yes, there's going to be magic in the show. But so Charlotta is a very strange character. She's alienated from everyone. She grew up she was orphaned, and then she grew up in the carnival, and then she was adopted by Germans, and so she speaks with a German accent. But she is our interlocutor, or she's the guide to the show. She will break the fourth wall. She will introduce the show. She will introduce the acts. And she will do magic for the audience as well. And the reason I think that works is still in the spirit of Chekhov, because usually you don't break the fourth wall in Chekhov, but Charlotta is such an odd character, and she frequently just talks to herself. So it made sense to me that she would be trying to reach out to the audience since she feels she can't talk to anyone else in the play. And she has a dog, and she carries around this little dog in the play. We have
the whole play.
A real dog.
A real dog?
A real dog, yeah.
A real dog.
We have
There's going to be a real dog on stage.
Yes, there is. A tiny little dog.
So this isn't just a Chekhov play. It's a magic show and a dog show.
Yeah. Well, yes, in a way.
Wow.
Her first line in the play is, out of nowhere, total non sequitur, and my dog even eats nuts.
What's that about?
I don't know. So Chekhov wrote that. I didn't write that.
Yeah.
And Chekhov had a highly developed sense of the absurd, which is why I like him so much.
So I love hearing that you're going to do a stylized set, that you're making these choices. And it reminds me, that the origins of the work that you've done was Middlebury Actors Workshop, which was always about what do you do with just an actor? I always imagine, of course, I wasn't here during those days, but you just a light bulb hanging over the stage and just a really powerful performer, spellbinding an audience, and that you put the actor first.
Yes.
And so tell us a little bit about your cast and your process of bringing this to life from an actor's perspective.
Oh, great. Yeah. Well, I knew that I would never try this play unless I had a really fabulous cast, because it takes a lot of ensemble work that you have to patiently develop over a period of time. You can't just, do this, stand here, walk here, say it like this. It's not like that. So we have Jordan Gullickson playing Lepakin, which is probably the central, most important male role, the peasant who turned businessman. Jordan played Scrooge in A Christmas Carol. He's a wonderful, wonderful actor. We have Jenna Nekrasin playing Lyubov.
Oh.
And she was the star of Admissions.
Yes, and Admissions.
Yes,
yeah.
And she's fabulous. She's really, really good. And she has, the thing about Jenna that I love, and the reason I cast her, is because she has a very big heart and a lot of emotional presence. And Lyubov, which means love in Russian, is all about love. She's just the kind of person who loves extravagantly and is generous and kind. She's a wonderful woman, and a little loose, a little licentious, according to her brother. But she's all love, and Jenna has that quality.
Wow.
Yeah. Can't fake that.
So let's say we just have a Middlebury person who maybe is familiar with Chekhov, hasn't seen this play. They come in. How are they going to be transformed by this work? How will it change us from when we sit down to when we walk out?
I think you're going to have, any person I think is going to have a very, an experience of empathizing, of an enlarging of a sense of belonging to the human race. I think everyone's going to be amused and touched and feel like, this is what it's like to be alive. And this is how, we get through together, because there's so many challenges in life. And these characters, although they struggle sometimes to really connect, they get through together.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Especially these days. Seems nice to be feeling good.
It seems like a nice distraction from the current political scene.
Just come into the theater and feel good.
Come into the theater and feel good about people's problems 100 years ago.
Right.
And don't worry about your problems right now.
Right.
And one thing I'd like to add is some people have told me, very few, but a few people believe that Chekhov is depressing. And so they won't go to Chekhov.
Oh.
Because they've seen some depressing production. And I just want to say it is not depressing. It's only depressing when it's done incorrectly, when people have misunderstood what Chekhov was trying to do.
Which you have not.
I've not.
Excellent. It seems like on all fronts, this is not an intimidating play.
It's not. It's totally accessible, totally easy to understand. It's not Shakespeare.
Right.
It's very audience friendly. The play moves very quickly, and it probably runs about 2 hours or maybe a little less.
And that's with an intermission?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And we'll have actors right down on the floor there, and there'll be, Charlotta to guide you through. There'll be the dog.
I really can't wait to see this. And we're lucky in that this runs for 2 weekends.
Yes.
So we have lots of chances to see it again, see how the choices evolve.
See how it evolves and matures.
Right. The Cherry Orchard opens Friday, October 18th. It runs through that weekend and the following weekend, closing Sunday the 27th. And if you want a ticket, which I hope that you do, give me a call at the box office or go to townhalltheater.org. Thanks so much for joining me, Melissa.
Thank you, Zach. That was really fun.
It really was.